Photoshop Project 2, Vintage Car Montage. We are continuing with Stage 2, working with the vector tools, and we are going to next create a vector-based layer mask. Make sure that you can see all of the car and select your car outline in the Paths panel. In your Layers menu, you're going to select Vector Mask Current Path. We have created a new path now called Car Vector Mask. It indicates this path as a vector mask for the layer named Car. Nothing is added to the Channels panel because channels are raster-based. They don't store the vector-based path information. Go back into your Layers panel. When the masked layer is not selected, the mask path doesn't show in the Path panel. This is something to remember. If you want to edit the mask path, you have to make sure that the correct path is selected first. Editing the original car outline path is not going to have any effect on the mask path. So if you wanted to work on that, you would need to go in and select the layer in the Layers panel and select the vector mask, and then that would be able to be worked on. Next, we're going to create a vector shape layer. A shape layer is a special type of Photoshop layer. It retains vector path information. That shape functions as a mask, revealing the defined fill color for the shape. Any vector paths can have defined stroke properties, like color, width, type, and style, and these can be edited using the same tools that you used to edit the paths in the previous exercises. We're going to build a compound vector shape that will exist behind the car, creating the visual effect of a window that the car is coming out of. Make sure that you have your rulers visible, and in your Layers panel, make sure that you have nothing selected. In the Tools panel, choose the Rounded Rectangle tool. If you can't see it, if you're running a single line of tools like I am, right below the magnifying glass, there's going to be a grouping of tools. If you click and hold on that, you get all of the hidden tools that we couldn't find. So from here, you can select your Rounded Rectangle tool. In the options bar, choose Shape. Click the Fill Color Swatch to get the pop-up swatches panel. This all sounds really familiar, doesn't it? And click on the white swatch. Click the stroke swatch and choose None. Change the radius field to 50 pixels. A rounded corner rectangle, remember, it's simply a rectangle with the corners cut out at a specific distance from the end. And the two sides are connected with 1/4 of a circle, which has the radius equal to the amount of the rounding. You're going to click near the top left corner of the document window and drag down and right, and it's going to create a new shape. When you release the mouse button, the shape you drew fills with the defined fill color. We have no applied stroke. Let's take a look now at the information in the Properties panel. We have a live shape. It gives our width in pixels and our height, our X and Y position, and all the other pertinent information, including the curvature that we have for the corners. Highlight the current X value and type in 0. With your Tab button, tab to the Y field and also put in 0 again. And select Enter to make the change. In your width, you can pick up and use your scrubby and drag until the rectangle is approximately 1/8 inch narrower than the canvas. So we're going to make this quite a bit wider. So you remember to use your rulers. I'm going to push down to the bottom, and I'm going to use my scrubby to make the height about a half an inch shorter than what the height of my document is. Okay, we've got that done. And so now to deselect, we're going to click on the rounded rectangle tool again, and that will turn off the anchor handles. In the options bar, open the path operation menu, and we're going to choose to subtract front shape. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to now click and drag to create another rectangle inside the first one. We're using the subtract front shape option. So the second shape removes the overlapping area. Options for the basic shape tool. Remember the last use setting, so the new shape has the same 50 pixel corner radius that we did for the first shape. Now in our properties panel, we're going to change the new shape's parameters. We want our width to be 1250 pixels. And it should default off to pixels. Yes. We want the height to be 1550 pixels. We want our X position to be at 150 pixels. And we want our Y position, the upper corner, should also be at 150 pixels. In the lower half of the property panel, make sure that the four corner radius fields are linked, and type 0 for the top radius, or use your scrubby. That's going to square up our corners. Now we're going to unlink, and we're going to make some changes. The top left field, we want a radius of 100 pixels. Choose the Path Selection tool in the Tools panel and click the outer path of the compound shape to select it. Change the bottom right corner radius for the outer path to 100 pixels. So let's do it the easy way. Let's chain all of these, change the outer radius to 0, and then unchain and change the bottom to 100 pixels. Save your file and click an empty area below the layers to deselect the layer. We're going to pick again the rounded rectangle tool, and in the options bar, bring up the stroke colors and click the color picker button to open that dialog box. Move the cursor over a medium red in the car layer and click to sample it. And then click OK. Change the stroke width field to 15 pixels. Take a look at the options in the Path Operations menu. The menu defaults to the New Layer option if there isn't an existing shape layer selected. We're going to click and drag to create a rounded rectangle in the lower half of the canvas. In your Properties panel, define the new shape's parameters. We want the width to be 600 pixels. The height is going to be 575. The X position should be 75. The Y, 1760. We also need to change this to a solid line from a dashed if yours came up like that. And then select the Move tool in the Tools panel. And holding down your Option or your Alt key, click. See how you get the double-headed arrow? You're going to click inside that rectangle shape and you're going to drag it to the right to clone it. You can use your smart guides. Oh yes, we have those to get that lined up in the center if you'd like. We have a new cloned layer that appears immediately above that original layer. And it has rounded rectangle 2 copy. To keep these from being confusing, let's make some name changes here. We're going to double click the name of the round rectangle 2 layer, and we're going to name that left inset, and change the name of the cloned layer to center inset. And now let's clone another one of these, dragging to the right again. Use your smart guides so that you can distribute these fairly evenly. And change the name of center inset copy to right inset. Now, if you were not successful in spacing these, you can shift click to select the 3 layers, which is going to select all 3 of the shapes. And you still have the Move tool. You can now click the Distribute Horizontal Centers button in the option bar, which will correct any difference that you have, and then save your file.